All right, hi, this is Dan Letha, and I'm going to do a video that I've not done one of these before. So we'll see how it goes, but the point of this video is to talk about some children's books, and I'm going to do some looking at different books, the artwork in them, and the point of the books. And I'm going to make the case, or try to make the case, that we're not doing a good job of communicating what Noah's Ark was, even to small children. A lot of people think that you have to draw pictures like this to communicate to little children about Noah's Ark, and hey, they don't understand size, and so it's important to just make an ark that's cute and something that they'll like. Well, let's stop and question that. Now, I know I have detractors and people that say, "Hey, Dan, it's not important." And I really especially want to hear from you people on the videos that I'm going to make about Noah's Ark and the small ark. So here we have a book, and I have a ton of books in my collection of Noah's Arks. I collect these things. And this one was kind of a prize because the question on top, how big was Noah's Ark, and other questions kids ask about the Bible. Great title. Love the mission of the book. However, I think it's really misguided in some ways. And so here we've asked this question, how big was Noah's Ark? And they got the answer wrong on the cover. Okay? So but let's look at the book. Let's open it up. Fun facts for children about the Old and New Testaments. I assume that the point of this book is to help children know the Bible and view it as something that's true, and here are the facts. So how are they doing? So let's open it up, and and I think we're we're in trouble from the get-go. Now, I'm a cartoonist, and I'm not against making cartoons, but see, the problem is that again, we're trying to teach kids about Noah's Ark. In this particular case, there's other questions in the book, but the question, the chapter part where it comes to Noah's Ark, how big was the ark? So that's the topic, that's the point of this section of the book. If you look over here, the numbers that they give are in metric. So I think this was produced in a country not in the United States. So this was originally made somewhere else. So we've got that little obstacle of looking at metric numbers. But these metric numbers are supposed to reflect the actual size of the ark, the biblical numbers. God does tell Noah, and Noah told us how big the ark was supposed to be. So here we read the ark was 137 meters long, longer than a football field, 23 meters wide, put 5 cars end to end, and 14 meters tall, like a very big house. Okay, so they've got real numbers, and then they go out of their way to kind of say, okay, this is what those numbers mean. But then you look at the picture here, and you see that, oh, that's not what that says. These two don't go together. I'm a visual guy, and if I was a kid reading this book, I would remember this, and those numbers wouldn't stick in my head. Um, I think it's interesting that, again, we've committed to this image of the ark, and so we've got a problem because we've committed to something that's not real, not true, and then we're trying to teach children about what it really was. And so you use the real numbers, and it conflicts with the image that you have chosen to commit to. That's a problem. And so it doesn't seem to matter to a lot of parents. That just seems to, oh, no, no problem. Well, let's take a look at another Bible account later on in the book. Apparently, size isn't that big of an issue when it comes to Noah's Ark. But then when you come to David and Goliath, it talks about some sizes here. Goliath was over 9 feet tall. So they've got a picture of Goliath as a giant, because he was, and David is smaller. Actually, I think David was not a kid like that, so that's a problem too. But the point here is that they showed Goliath as a giant, and they showed David as smaller than a giant. Um, so again, size, relationships, what big and small are matter here, but for Noah's Ark, doesn't matter. So we've agreed to miscommunicate to children just for the sake of going with an image that is popular, and And I think that's a problem. Here we've got a book that's not Noah's Ark, but it is a book that communicates to children about size. Kids love size. I think it's a fascinating thing. And so the point of this book is to communicate to children different sizes of animals. And so we start out small with insects and things, but you go to the end of the book, and then you've got larger creatures, which are cool. Kids love large creatures. And we get bigger and bigger and bigger. Got a giraffe there. And then an elephant. So larger things we can communicate that to children. And so how big is a blue whale compared to a lot of elephants? That's cool. And again, the size thing, I think people just kind of make an excuse for, I just like the ark. I like the small ark. And so I want to go with that. Don't tell me any different. All right. So here's a book that I think, wow, that book has promise. Look at the cover. It says, hey, that's not what the Bible says. And it's got a picture of a little Noah's Ark on the front. So I'm thinking, all right, maybe this book will point that out and it'll take care of that issue. So let's open up the book and see what we got. Talks about Adam and Eve. The point of the book is that they take a Bible account. A lot of people say Bible story. I don't like to say Bible story, but they'll take the account and they'll illustrate it wrong on purpose, and they'll go, oh, that's not what the Bible says, and then they'll illustrate it right on the next page, next couple pages, and then they'll say, okay, this is what actually the Bible says. And so they're doing that with Noah's Ark here. So we've committed to a small ark. So is that the thing that they're pointing out? No, it says Noah built a large boat, a big boat, giant boat, it says. And then it shows a bunch of people going on to Noah's Ark. And then you turn the page and you find out, oh, that's not what the Bible says. A bunch of people didn't go on Noah's Ark. It was only 8 people and a bunch of animals. But again, we've committed to the small ark. So this book is willing to distort Noah's Ark when it's trying to teach you what the Bible says. And again, kids walk away going, oh, that's what Noah's Ark was. I don't think that's a good idea. There are books that are sold, and the point of the book is to give kids a fun task of finding things that aren't quite right. And I'm not going to open up this book, but the point of this book is to catch or teach kids to catch things that aren't right. And it's a fun thing. Little kids can do this, and yet we're teaching them wrong. There should be a Bible book like this too. Something's not quite right, and then show the little arcs and point other things. I think I might have to do that at some point. I really do actually want to do that sort of thing. So with Noah's Ark, like I said, I've got a lot of books, and most of them show a little dinky ark. Now, this ark isn't quite right either, but I think it's interesting in that this is one of the only books that I have that actually makes Noah's Ark bigger than the ark is. So I'm just going to show you that real quick here. Again, children's book. The artist went out of his way to make a giant boat, which, if you're going to make a caricature of Noah's Ark, why do we do it small? Caricaturists are known for making noses big and all that sort of stuff, exaggerating. Noah's Ark was a giant boat, so why don't they caricature it if they're going to distort it in a cartoony way? I always kind of wondered, why don't they do that in a large way? Why are they making it small all the time? So the illustrations here are beautiful, but the ark is way too large. And so they're just trying to make the point that a lot of animals went on this boat, and it was really, really huge. So it's just a rare book that someone went out of their way for little children to make the ark really, really. Let's see, where's that picture again? Here, there it is. That's huge. it's just more massive than the ark actually was. So that's a rare book, kind of a prize in my collection, although it's not quite right. I wouldn't recommend that book to to people either. So my question is there another a story from history, a real account of a boat that we communicate to children a lot? Yes, there is actually, and it's the Titanic. And this book is for younger children. It's a step into reading book, so it's a younger age book. Why don't we illustrate the Titanic like we do Noah's Ark and make it really small and cute? Why don't we do that? In fact, I'm looking for books that do that. But see, the Titanic was huge. It was known for being a massive ship, and so that's the way that we show it, even to children that are reading this level here. Look at the illustrations. It's made to look massive, and people want you to think, oh, this was a massive ship, and so there's like a cross section of it right there. You often see that sort of thing in Noah's Ark books. And here's a picture of like a city block type of thing to show you the scale of the Titanic to younger children. And again, they're doing a great job of helping these kids grasp their young minds, get wrapped around this humongous boat, this humongous ship, the biggest ship the world has ever seen. So they're teaching big, big, big. And so when a child or someone thinks of the Titanic, do they think small and cute and it was a little tiny ship? No, they think massive ship. In fact, here's another book. I think even for younger children, because it's got this on it, please read to me. So this book apparently is going to an age group that can't read yet, but the parent is supposed to read this book. So here we've got this massive boat again, little different style, still relatively realistic in their style choice. And so little children don't always need little cutesy cartoony things either. But I mean, this could have been done in more of a cartoony style too, and it would be okay, I think. But it's the size distortion that I'm picking at here, because what types of images do your children have in their minds when they just hear the word Noah's Ark or Titanic? Everyone's default images of Titanic are huge. The images in their minds are huge because that's how they've seen it and that's how it's shown. I would love to have someone point out a children's book of Titanic that is showing a small ship. In fact, here's a book here. I collect Titanic books too. So here's a book that's, again, going out of its way, making this ship look massive and huge in the way that the book is printed itself. And Heroes of the Titanic, and so we're talking about the boat. I'll open up just a little bit here, just kind of page through a little bit. Again, photos and realistic images are shown, but the point is that they didn't make it small. They didn't make it cute. They didn't make it, the Titanic is a serious account of history because a lot of people died in this account. But look at this photo here. That's massive. That's just the propeller. And so again, they're getting a lot of mileage out of the largeness, the epic scale of this ship. Why aren't we doing that with Noah's Ark? And so I have that question for you. What do you think is the reason why we most artists and most book companies, even biblical Christian ones, for the littler children will show Noah's Ark small? Why do they do that? I have an answer for that, but I'm not going to cover that in this particular video. Here's another book, more cartoony this time, talking about Noah's Ark. Is it going to be a small ark? Again, I have yet to find a book on Noah's Ark Titanic that is showing a small ship. That's a large ship right there. Again, relatively to scale from what the real one was. I don't think they've said, okay, this is a cartoon book, we need to distort to Titanic because this is cartoony. They've gone along and they've gone with a lighter style for the people, even though this is a very serious, people die at the end and all that, but they've chosen a style here. I think it works fine. Look at the massive scale of this. Cartoony, younger children. Again, you do not have to show a super small ark to little children just because they're little children. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me, argue against my case here. I've pointed out some problems already with committing to a younger or a smaller image, but showing the real numbers. That's a problem in my book. All right, so here's another example that I think is pretty telling as well. You have a draw the Titanic book. So what types of images do we have here with the Titanic? Open this book up here. I've got a collection of how to draw books too, which I think are fun to look at. We've got pictures. It starts out with photographs of the Titanic, so you can see what it was. Now they've start breaking it down into shapes. Talk about the account of the ship, its fateful journey, and here's how to draw the unsinkable ship. Again, this is not cartoon distortion at all. They're really showing you how to draw the Titanic, and that's the way it was. And then they show how to draw people and that sort of stuff. Okay, so that's how to draw the Titanic. Well, I also have a book called Let's Draw Noah's Ark. What do you think that one's going to be? Is it going to reflect the real account of Noah's flood? And is it going to give you the biblical numbers? Because the Bible does have the numbers. Nope. It has this little dinky ark with a bunch of cute animals, and everyone's happy, and how much of that reflects the actual account of what happened in the Bible and why God told us about it, and why that whole event took place anyway. So again, are we actually trying to communicate to children that the Bible's true, or are we actually fairy taleizing, if that's a word, the account of Noah's flood and Noah's Ark and making it cutesy and fun? And we've done it for so long that nobody stops and thinks, wait a minute, I don't think this is actually communicating and teaching right to even small children. And so, again, you got a lot about the animals, and there's these pictures of the small ark, building the ark. So there's some details given about what actually happened, but it's so lost in what didn't happen and how it wasn't. You could make a style like this for little kids and have a massive ark still. But no, you've got this little dinky thing here. And I've got so much more to say about that, but I don't have time to deal with that in this video right here. So these are actually a bunch of books I do not recommend that you buy. And I'm not going to go into any books that I recommend that you buy. I'll do that in another video. But my point in making this video here is, I think there's a problem when you show these little arcs and then you try to teach kids what actually happened in the Bible, especially when you start to go to the real numbers, because God told Noah what those numbers were, and the Bible reflects those things. And so here's the point too. I've been communicated to by parents and grandparents of children that were raised with these images, and then the grandparent or parent goes to talk to the child, and the child says, no, I don't believe that Noah's Ark is real because the pictures don't look like that could be real. Kids think more than we think they do. I spoke to 3 different Bible camps this past summer, and these were young children. Some of them were junior. One of them was 300 junior boys. These were some younger kids, and they were asking me about the sovereignty of God, and if God is loving, why do bad things happen? They were asking me deep, deep questions. Little kids think more than we think that they do. And so I think we're doing ourselves a disservice when we use images like this. Even though we may be a cartoonist or an illustrator, or we may be a parent or a grandparent that has loved these images and they're fun to draw and they have some advantages to them. But again, why are we doing this? Put that in the comments below, and give me your ideas as to why we're drawing these little arcs for kids. And maybe you have some stories too about these images that weren't helpful. I'd like to know those things as well. And if these videos are something that might be helpful to show to other people, I would appreciate that you would share them. Give me some likes and subscriptions, and thanks for watching this video, and I'll talk to you later.